Hey there, and welcome to the Second Lunch Podcast. This is an episode number, and we are very happy to be back. It has been a little while. We've both had stuff going on. I've had a lot of dadding to be doing lately. As you can tell, my hair's kind of grown back a little bit. I believe last episode I was bitching about how my fucking hair will not respect me and leave me alone. I made the decision for it to be gone.
Just fuck off to your beard.
And right, go somewhere else. You didn't try this whole time, and now you want to show me that you care. Pisses me off. But yeah, this is what a week without shaving my head looks like.
Absence makes the heart grow fonder.
Oh, no, I'm not. I'm not fond of it any longer. But I've been doing a lot of dadding. It's been good. I read Kendall a book last night. I didn't know we had this. I probably wouldn't have let it into our house. I think maybe.
Mein Kampf?
I wish. No. Speaking of books that should be burned, this book. Are you familiar with Old McDonald of having a farm fame?
Yes, I know the guy.
So Old McDonald now, I don't know if you've been keeping up with Old McDonald. Old McDonald has a zoo now. They've given this guy a fucking zoo. For starters, the original song says nothing about his qualifications to even have a farm. So I have some questions about him even having that.
Well, having the name Old McDonald, I think, is qualification enough. You have to have a straw hat.
How many old farmers do you see?
Well, I don't know. I mean,
how old is McDonald? And why won't they tell us his first name?
Narnia? I can't find this guy.
I don't know. And my concern here is managing some pigs different than managing some monkeys, zebras, lions.
I see. So you're saying, sorry, I inhaled some beer. You're saying that you think they've entrusted him with too much wildlife.
Yes, exactly.
They've gone hog wild.
Dangerous.
With the
what's he gonna do with the elephants? This guy, how does he know how to take a You know how dangerous a hippopotamus is?
He's just going to be trying to turn these exotic animals into additional livestock. Like, all right, how can I plow the fields with?
True. Yeah. Oh, that's not
with
very
Babar.
nice either. You think I used to, whenever I would like match with somebody on Tinder or something, and they'd ask what I wanted to do for a first date, I would usually say the zoo because I fucking love the zoo.
Zoos are pretty good.
But I also I always got one of two responses. Either somebody else was like, fuck yeah, let's go look at some animals. Or somebody would be like, I can't believe you go to the zoo. And I'd be like, well, I only go to zoos where they've rescued animals that can't survive.
Yeah, you can go to the properly accredited.
It drives me nuts when people just full stop hate zoos. Anyhow, I don't need to get on another. Why would you not want to look at otter? Anyway.
I think there's a pretty ugly history of zoos, but you know,
right,
there's a couple
sure.
that work. As far as Old McDonald getting a new gig, see, I was under the impression that Old McDonald was in like the Homer Simpson, you're frozen in time, you never age, you never leave the nuclear power plant. So now all of a sudden he's cracking tickets at Woodland Park. I don't know.
We don't know enough about Old McDonald. Right? All we really know is some vowels. E-I, E-I-O. That's all we fucking know. I noticed they don't say 4-H. I don't think this guy's accredited.
You don't think that he's allowed to be near schools?
Right. Why is he singing all these? Why is he trying to lure the kids near his farm with this music and animals? No.
Old McDonald, that's a classic. There's no way that's his birth name. The guy is
first name Old, last name McDonald.
The guy is Glenn Rogers, and there are some police in Biloxi still looking for him.
Right. Yeah, he's definitely on his third identity by now.
Chris, where's your koozie? I thought you...
Oh, fuck's sakes.
Yeah,
Speaking
good
of,
Lord.
I keep doing this. The other day I was at Tom Thumb. Shout out Tom Thumb. It's the best thing that's ever happened to Lake Stevens. I was at Tom Thumb. The best thing that ever happened to Lake Stevens.
Is that their tagline?
I'm going to make t-shirts. And on the back it'll say cranking it and just have a crank. Anyway, I have been keeping my koozie on my person so I don't forget it for the show.
Yeah, back right pocket. Yeah.
But what's been happening is that's what I keep my wallet in. But now anytime I have to take out my wallet, I'm exposing that I have a beer koozie on my person at all times. But then I realized when I was at Tom Thumb, the greatest thing that ever happened to Lake Stevens, the guy looked at the koozie and then looked at me, and then I was about to be like,
it was your ID.
Yeah. Oh, I'm allowed to have this. And I started being like, oh no, I don't have this on me all the time because that'd be a really alcoholic thing to do. And then
As you're buying beer.
Then I realized I do have it on me all the time. That's exactly why it's there. And so, yeah, I was exposed.
Yeah. Last time I went to Vegas, I realized I had flown down there with one. I'm good to go. I don't even have to buy one of the stupid ones with dice
You're
painted
trying
on
to
it.
shove a mug into it. What the fuck?
Yeah, exactly. My fucking fourth Bloody Mary of the morning.
Oh, man.
This salt's starting to cut my mouth up.
Bloody Mary. Good. Let's Gucci or greasy that. How do you feel? But you think that's a fair
Oh.
thing to be a beverage? It's
Oh.
pretty much a soup.
I mean,
the amount of
it's-
food they put in those.
That's okay. That is greasy. A classic Bloody Mary with some, nice spice.
Well, hold on.
Maybe
here.
a pickle.
We got
Yeah.
a lot of listeners in the Midwest. This is going to turn into a fight.
Oh, I don't. If you're hanging like cheeseburgers and bacon off of your no,
not
get
full
outta here.
cheeseburgers, but you might find a chicken strip or something. Certainly cheese.
Oh God,
Pepperoni. I'm okay with the
Pepperoni
pepperoni.
I
but
could
I'm
kind of
fine
understand.
with pepperoni always.
I
so.
mean, salty stuff, yeah, but like I don't need all this food. Like I'm trying to kill the hangover / work on the next one. So Gucci, but I have definitely overdone the Bloody Marys, like in Vegas in particular, where you're like, I'm done with the sweet drinks and a beer sounds horrendous. And then you get to like your 7th Bloody Mary at the table and you're like, my mouth is raw. It's like I've been shotgunning Captain Crunch.
Honestly, this is probably gonna make people barf. So trigger warning. I just go straight for a shot of tequila if I'm that hungover.
Yeah, that could be pretty hard. Well, it depends on what you drank the night before, though, I suppose. If you didn't have any tequila the night before, well, yeah, there's a lot of people that wouldn't be able to hang with that. No,
I do make goose to tequila big time. So
I went to Fat Tuesdays when I was at the bachelor party and drank a lot of Everclear. And going back for more, well, because they, it's mixed into a lot of their drinks, and then it's $1 for a shot, and I'm no dummy. All right,
I know math.
I know finance. Yeah, exactly. That's just I'm making money by buying that. So, yeah, I was shitting green the next day. Anyways, Tinderella questions. Let's. It's been a while since we've done these. Chris, what do you think the first thing a human being ever laughed at was?
I feel like it had to be a fart. So let's just say that isn't it. Let's just say. So maybe what is the second
That
thing?
honestly wasn't my guess, but yeah.
Oh, really? I was going to say somebody falling probably.
Yeah,
'cause
I was absolutely somebody getting hurt.
That's the most cavemanish reaction I have because I never mean to laugh when somebody gets hurt, but I always do.
Well, plus, I mean, back then, there's no paved roads. There's no, the way somebody's going to eat shit, they're going to, like, slip down a hill. It's going to be great. It's going to be.
Can't believe you thought that tree root would hold.
Yeah. It's going to be a winner.
It's Chris Farley falling down the hill and, what was the
Black Sheep.
Black Sheep.
Yeah, when he's trying to deliver the like, ballot promotion. Yeah, the mailers.
It still gets in the mailbox.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's an easy one. We're in agreement then. It's either a fart or somebody.
Or somebody burning themselves. Like, somebody is jealous they figured out fire. Like, oh, fuck that guy. Oh, fucking burned himself.
Yeah,
Idiot. What a loser he is.
Look, it's the only guy who's ever found white mud. All right. What is your favorite Halloween costume? This is a good one. This is a tough question.
So, my favorite on other people, scantily clad woman. Any kind. I know this isn't a term we should be throwing around, but I think it's more of a descriptor in this sense. Slutty nurse. Slutty anything. I'm there for it.
See, I'm more about give me something silly to also, like sexy Oscar the Grouch.
So that reminds me of what sexy Oscar the Grouch. Yeah, okay.
Somebody
100%.
who's like looking hot in a trash can, like nice. That's tough to do.
I always knew I liked trashy women. Yeah, silly. I have been thinking. I'm a big boy, now a big bald usually boy. There's not a whole lot of options. I was like, do I let my hair grow and be Fred Flintstone, or I was thinking of just being a guy named Eric. Just wearing
No,
clothes that I don't normally wear.
You can't do that because that's like the 14-year-old not dressing up asking for candy. You know, you gotta. There's gotta
I'm not
be more
getting candy
of a.
anyway. I'm barely involved and I'm handing it out. Why do I need to be dressed up?
Well, with that logic, then you can just be Chris wearing the jersey. You know, if you're gonna do it, you gotta
dude,
do
you know
it.
how many times I was Brett Favre for Halloween? Basically, I went from being Elvis, which is my favorite costume of all time, for like 6 or 7 years, to being Brett Favre for the end of my trick-or-treating career.
Yeah, yeah. I think you got to put in a little more than Eric. See, my favorite is the Dumb and Dumber matching tuxedos. Well, not matching, but similarly vibrant and stupid. The creamsicle and the powder blue. But you got to have a partner in crime for that, for sure. You can't just whip that out. Otherwise, I'm just going classic Richard Nixon because I don't know why that mask is still like so heavily.
Nose.
That's
It's the nose. People love that nose. I put in so much effort into Halloween costumes when I was Elvis, especially. There was one year I was sick, and I absolutely should not have gone trick-or-treating.
yeah.
But my dad, trying to work with me, he's like, well, you know, we could just take the truck and I could drive you house to house. You run up, trick-or-treat, quit, and that'll cut your time trick-or-treating in half.
Yeah.
And so
And it kind of matches the spirit of Elvis.
we did
and
the whole
his-
thing. I got my boombox out and played, what's it called? Space Odyssey 2001 or whatever, where it's like, da, 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 ba, da,
Yeah.
boom, 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 the whole Elvis
Yeah,
intro.
and
Did all that.
you're smashing bones with a stick.
It was pretty cool.
That Elvis is great, and you can do multiple spins on Elvis, and
Right.
it's really just wear as much flamboyant. I mean, it's like a Macho Man
You
Randy
can be as
Savage.
fat as you want, too.
Yeah, I mean, what stage of the career? Yeah, me doing Macho Man Randy Savage, you got to wear the same. You get the same joie de vivre out of the clothes, but I can't be that fat. We all know Macho Man was in way better shape than me. Okay, worst Halloween candy.
I'm tempted to say Three Musketeers. I know that that's not the worst, but it's the one that makes me the most mad because you got so close to an actual good candy, and you didn't pick it.
Yeah, but if they're doing like Smarties or something, I still gotta.
Black
licorice.
Oh, that's
I don't know how much.
crime.
Yeah, that's
black,
great.
Black licorice is
That also,
actually a
yeah. If
crime.
you get black licorice, that is
Somebody
the worst.
hates you.
Yeah.
That's worse than getting an apple even.
Because I like apples.
I think it's
occasionally.
got to be like what is it? Is it Mounds or what's the one that's got coconut in it?
Yeah, both Mounds and Almond Joy, both of those.
Right.
Yeah, those are rough.
Those are
I
those are
enjoy
end
them.
of November candies.
Yeah, that's true. I enjoy those both, but I acknowledge like not only are they not very good because it's a candy bar, it should have at least like 4 ingredients. You know,
Right.
give me some like the Mounds is just chocolate and coconut. But then there's also enough people allergic to coconut where it's like you fucked it all up. If you're gonna give stuff, you know, that people are allergic to, at least have it be peanut butter. You know, at least have it be some good
Those
stuff.
people can fucking die.
That's
right?
what-
Am I right?
Oh God, no, because see, then I get to trade. Remember, we talked about this.
Right,
This
right.
is where I start to starburst for Reese's.
Really,
Everybody wins.
capitalizing, Yeah.
Yeah, everybody gets a W.
Ooh, wow. Why would you make a trade that fair? You have all the leverage.
Oh, because I mean, I'm not cruel.
That's how I get rid of the almond joy.
Nah, well, see, like I said, I like those enough. And Smarties, see, the thing is that if you're with like 8 kids and only one has the allergy, you only have so much of an upper hand. You know, he's got multiple trade partners.
Smarties are one of those candies that I agree. Like when you get it, you're like, eh. But then when you're down to the end of the bag, it's the end of November, and you're like, well, I'm not going to throw this candy out. I'm going to eat it.
Yeah.
And you finally go for the Smarties. You're like, oh, okay, this isn't that bad.
Yeah,
Not great.
I felt the same
Doesn't
way when I
taste that much like chalk.
when I was a kid and I had to go to the food bank occasionally. It felt similarly, and I think that's the same. You know, when I got raisins, I was like, yeah, I get raisins.
I like raisins.
Then when I could afford food again, I was like, yeah,
It
could do without the
reminds-
raisins.
Yeah,
You know, they do start to remind you at the food.
I'm
bank
only going to
too.
have raisins when I need them.
Yeah, the food bank on 70th and 24th, man, doling out raisins. Also, one time I went in there and they were handing out juice, and I found out it was tomato juice. Like, come on.
Oh,
And I was not exposed to Bloody Marys yet, so I did not.
brutal. Well, how did you know it was juice and not tomato? Was there a sign outside?
No, it was
Somebody's
like-
oh, it's juice.
Yeah, there was
Juice
like
day.
one. It was in like one of those rectangular sort of containers that could really only contain juice.
You can't. I don't even think you should be able to call that juice because
It's more of a gazpacho.
it's so close to being ketchup. It is just it's wrong. When you hear the word juice, you're like, ooh, fruity, something fruity.
Yeah. Now that I'm thinking about this longer, because this was a long time ago, I think we actually grabbed it because I was just like, oh, it's apple or grape or something. I believe I said something just like something. And then
it was something.
It was right in the trash, right in the bin.
We were talking about candy bars. We may as well do the first Gucci or Greasy now because we're discussing it. Gucci or Greasy being the house that hands out king-size candy bars.
So I'm gonna immediately say Gucci, but I will caveat that with we give out regular size. We do not, because they sell the nice boxes of them at Costco. So
right.
So the king size, like somebody doing that is like actually rating their local Tom Thumb or what have you in order to get. They're dropping like $100 on 50 king sizes with straight up cash. Unless Costco sells some king sizes or shit, and I just have been missing it. But we do give out the full...
Right. Those Costco... for starters, how many of those do you go through before Halloween? How many do you buy and then have to go back and get more?
Ashley and I are aware of enough of our flaws that we can't... we are pretty good about not touching those.
There have been years where I've eaten 3 of those boxes before Halloween happened and been like, fuck, I just need to stop getting them.
6 Snickers last night? My God.
Hey, 5.
This guy's putting up numbers.
And 1 Twix.
No, it's necessary. We always get, like 40 or so candy bars and then some Skittles and some other stuff, Starburst for, again, folks with allergies.
Do you buy stuff that you like so that you have stuff you like left over? Or do you buy stuff you don't like so that you're not tempted to eat it when it's left over?
I definitely opt for a box that I enjoy because obviously my perspective of the world is shared by everyone. And so when I see like a good Snickers breakdown, I'm like, oh yeah, the people want.
Oh dude, I have
12 of their 30 to be Snickers.
I have this issue where I'm like, I want the kids to have good stuff, but these fucking losers aren't having my Twix. Like I'll get the box from Costco and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna have to take out all the Twix. So how many are there really gonna be for these kids? And I'm like, all right, I have to get a second box. Well, I'm gonna take all the Twix out of those too. They still don't deserve them. And there's a lot of Snickers left over, thank Christ.
Got it. Well, and that'll keep the kids happy. They won't even know Twix are gone if they're still getting a Snickers.
What are the other ones? There's Kit Kat and Hershey's in that box, too?
I think so. Yeah, I can't remember.
What a killer box of candy. They fucking nailed it on that one. Costco, usually, they keep trying to shoehorn in these shit flavors into other
Well, that's where you...
What are they doing adding coconut to stuff? Again, I hate to shit on coconut again in this episode. This was not intended.
No, but it's not the supreme Halloween candy. Also, I have had 3 Musketeers or Milky Ways worked into those boxes, but
Milky Ways.
If they give you like 6 out of 30, it's like, whatever.
3 Musketeers
I'll take a few of those.
Is a Milky Way that wasn't finished.
It's all big on the nougat. Really heavy on the nougat. Okay.
I'm going to say Greasy, by the way. We got offhand. I'm going to say Greasy on being the house, because you're really causing some inflation on the market here. You're really making... I mean, I completely disagree with fun size candy. There's nothing fun about less candy. I don't remember who said that, but there's nothing fun about less candy.
Well, like the neighborhood I grew up in Ballard, it was very residential and like the, little patch we were in. And so you could hit up a lot of houses, get a lot of stuff. Where Ashley and I live now, we're right by First Avenue South. Like, it's not as easy. Like, some of the houses are further apart. So I feel more justified than ever in giving the big ones out because it's like, these kids got to work. No, like, there's a school on one side.
I think you're doing it right. It should be regular sized candy. Fun size should be fucked off to the market. That shouldn't even exist.
Well, one very silly thing was, and this has changed a bit. We've got some new folks in the neighborhood, but last year, or maybe the year before, all the kids were really young, like not much older than Kendall. So they're mostly just showing off their kids in their wagons. Yeah, and they're like trick-or-treating on the kid's behalf, really. The kid is 2.5, 3 years old. which makes the full-size candy bar even stupider, where it's like, all right, well, I guess the parents will enjoy the Snickers.
Right.
Like, there's no way the 2-year-olds.
I've been arguing with Katie about whether or not we should take Kendall trick-or-treating, and she's like, she's not even a year old. She's like, what's she going to do with the candy? I was like, this is not about her.
Yeah.
We're going to get the candy. My prime was cut short because I look fucking old. I deserve a couple years back.
Yeah, and I will say, I mean, your kids are expensive. This is a rare case where you get some back. Get a little.
My mom also randomly got drunk and bought Kendall 3 Halloween costumes. And so we have 3 costumes for Kendall, none of which we got to pick out, which Katie's not super happy about. But this is where I was like, okay, well, what if we all have 3 costumes? And we have a couple of costume changes. Just make sure a couple have masks. They'll never know.
I mean, I love the idea. What did your mom get her? What were the 3 choices? Tell me one was a pumpkin.
Yeah, because
Nice.
we were, I think all of us kids for our first Halloween were a pumpkin.
Yeah, my brother was a pumpkin for sure.
Fucking A.
And
Go
I
pumpkins.
may have been too, yeah.
And then avocado
Nice.
and the ladybug.
Okay, that's also very cute. But I'm leaning on the food ones.
I'm
Keeping with the show.
I'm big on pumpkin. You know what? I want to talk about pumpkin
Why is
really quick.
avocado though? I like it, but I'm like, how did avocado get into this?
I
But
have
yeah.
to say I'm really annoyed as pumpkin spice season has come around. All these people crazy about pumpkin spice and yet have all this shit to talk about pumpkin pie. Like it's not the same fucking thing. Get the fuck out of here. If you're going to be a pumpkin spice person, eat the fucking pie. Don't make fun. We all know you like it. You just don't want to admit you do because it's not cool like candy corn, which I do think is good. I understand why people don't enjoy it. We don't have to get into that. That's an argument that
we're
has
not
legs.
gonna. Let's continue talking, Chris, because we are already 25 minutes in.
Holy Christ. All right.
So, yeah, and I'm also not keeping tabs on who said they like one versus the other. So I hear you. I like both.
Eat more pumpkin pie, you fucking nerds.
I'm good for about 2, 3. See, you're taking the hostility up. You're killing my vibe
I'm
here.
so annoyed by it.
Let's keep it fun. But yeah, I'm good for like 2 or 3 pumpkin spice drinks a year, and then 1 entire pumpkin pie that I eat in one evening to myself.
Yeah, I relate to that.
And then have a lot of shame. What do you do with your pumpkin after Halloween?
I'm a pumpkin smash guy for sure. I'll go. I'm not going to do it in somebody's yard or something. I go
No.
find a place. I'm going to do it on pavement though.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
way more.
I mean,
fun
I
that way.
usually smash it around my. I mean, there's so many critters and stuff. Like you smash a pumpkin,
Oh, you're
the
doing
birds and stuff.
doing
will-
them a favor.
yeah, they're gonna be fine. No, you gotta smash it. I mean,
Some people just throw them away. What fun is that?
no, that's no. I mean, if you're big on the compost game, but no, I'm not. I'm no Old McDonald. I don't have my own farm here, so I'm just smushing the pumpkins. No, I want to go. It's been a couple years since I've carved pumpkins. This year, I want to do classic Frady cat, classic spooky. You know,
yeah.
hair on the neck. Yeah, I'm definitely doing that. I'm sure you've done a Packers themed pumpkin or two in your life.
Oh yeah, lots of Packers. I've gotten to the point where I'm just very boring. I just do a smiling pumpkin jack-o'-lantern classic. and just like,
One tooth up here, one down here.
yeah, exactly.
Perfect.
Is he doing meth? Why is he only 2 teeth?
Yeah. Why are all these jack-o'-lanterns like 18 months? Why are they all teething?
These pumpkins need to see a dentist.
Yeah.
This is,
What was the best thing before sliced bread?
I've been wondering about this. When did sliced bread happen, you reckon? Wasn't
It
that
was the
60s or
20s. It was the 20s,
okay.
yeah. So it was actually briefly banned during World War II because of the increased thickness of a bag you need to keep sliced bread fresh. And American citizens were fucking pissed. And
They were like, now what are we going to say is the best thing?
Yeah, I think it had been around maybe 15 years at that point. I want to say it was late 20s. I could be off a little, but I'm close for sure.
So this is where my questions begin.
Yeah.
When people say that, best thing since sliced bread, surely they mean pre-sliced bread, not just sliced bread. Because surely somebody took out a knife and was like, we got to cut this here.
They're
just
talking
taking
about
loaves,
truly the machine sliced, like, oh shit, I just bought Wonder Bread. Like, it's already... There was a housewife had written into the New York Times saying, you don't understand what you've done to my life by getting rid of sliced bread. Like, I've got 4 kids. I've got a husband. I'm making 2 slices of toast every morning. I'm hacking up 10 pieces there. And then she was like, because these, I think, were, farming times. Everybody's eating a lot. She's like, I got to make 2 sandwiches for everybody. I'm hacking up 30 slices of bread first thing in the morning.
Now she's got time for martinis.
It's like, hey, as a lazy person, I get it. I would be mad about 30 slices of bread, too. Plus, they're going to start to get wonky.
I like that nothing has surpassed that. People still use that phrase. Colored TV is pretty sweet. I mean,
Yeah,
the
that's a
Model
good one.
T even exists. I mean, that had to be the thing.
That was
before.
before.
Right?
That was, yeah.
That had to be the best thing.
Yeah, and that's less the Model T itself and more like the assembly line, right? The ability to actually like produce it in a way that's affordable.
It's the best thing since the assembly line.
But see, that's too nuanced.
What were people saying was the best thing, I guess, is what I'm
not getting scurvy? Probably like just that the absence of some terrible shit in your life. Like,
living past 32.
Yeah, having it 75% of your kids live past the age of 3.
Kids died. We don't need to go down this path.
No, but the infant mortality rate was...
Folks were dying real early back then.
Well, and you also had a lot of... I mean, you're having kids in a lot of those cases for labor. A lot of kids were chimney sweeps and shit like, oh my God.
Well, they're the perfect size.
I know, right? Perfect size to get trapped in one. To get their ass stuck in your chimney.
What can you do? Either get the squirrels out or you got a kid in there.
All right. Should we move on to the headlines, Chris?
Yeah, so this is a new segment we're going to do. I just, I don't know, I feel like we don't cover the news enough.
Yeah.
And so I just wanted to talk about some things that are kind of topical. So I'll read some headlines that I found this week, and we can talk about them. The first one is, after his first year in office, reports say mayor of Idlewild, California, a golden retriever, had a successful year in office. However, he did eat 3 of his ties.
I mean, I feel like you're keeping the town running.
Right.
The lights are on.
Right. Honestly, what I want to know more about is how often other politicians are eating their ties.
Yeah, has he got the record, or are we going to find out Gingrich had like 11?
If anybody's going to eat his tie, it's Gingrich. That's so good. I'm not eating this without some ketchup. Here's the thing, though. Max the third, he's the 3rd consecutive member of his family to serve as mayor. Is there anything funnier than nepotism? Nepotism is so funny to me because it's your own ass on the line. It's your own company, right? And you're like, well, I'm just going to hire this guy. Is he qualified? No, he's my nephew. Does he know how to do anything? No.
But you've got to feel bad as a person when you're nepotism, or when you are losing to dog-based nepotism. When you're like a guy that really wants to make Idlewild like a better place, got like big plans for getting kids into the Montessori school, and then losing to a fucking dog 4 years in a row.
Okay, I get that. I get the shame you would feel losing to a dog, but at the same time, you realize what you're up against running against a dog.
Yeah.
Nobody dislikes it. What can you even say? You can't slander him. He shits in his yard, and then you're like, you can't say that, dude.
Yeah.
That's just that's his culture. That's how they do that.
And it's not like anybody's going to believe when he's like, he was at Abu Ghraib. Like, that is a golden retriever.
He can't even talk. He can't defend himself.
He was at a CIA black site.
All right, let's do another one. Bed bugs have infested hotels, subways, and airports in Paris, France. Serves them right, if you ask me.
I knew this was just going to be anti-Parisian.
If anything, I feel bad for the bed bugs. I mean, getting stuck in France. Also, the other thing I was thinking, all the shit they eat, fucking snails, fish eggs.
You think that they're going to
It's
find
just a matter of time before they convince everybody these bed bugs are a fucking delicacy.
I can imagine that the only person that would make a bed bug feel less wanted would be a Parisian. Somehow you would feel like even more of an unwanted tourist as a bed bug. Like, shit, New York, they weren't even this mean to me.
They're not going to bring in chemicals. They're just going to shame them out.
This is why I really appreciated when Eric Andre got onto a New York subway with a mattress that just said free mattress, but also said something about bed bugs on it. Like, get that thing away from me. Good stuff.
All right. Fan denied entry into Philadelphia Phillies game after trying to bring in emotional support alligator.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that an alligator is probably the least of a Philadelphia security guard's concerns, Like, You have to strap in for a Phillies game. Like, I'm gonna see a death today.
I was thinking, what the fuck is wrong with you that the animal supporting you is a fucking alligator?
Yeah, you definitely got to be a.
What's worse than an alligator?
You gotta
as far as like
This is bad Leroy Brown, isn't
support,
it?
yeah. As far as a support animal, like the only thing I can think of worse is like chupacabra.
Yeah, like Gila monster.
That's mad.
It's got monster in the title.
All right, Chucky doll arrested in Mexico for wielding knife to scare people.
So
I'll tell you a little more. It was a man holding a Chucky doll that was holding a knife, and he was threatening people. I love, because this is what I think was happening. Was he figured, well, if they try to arrest me, I'll say it was the doll. I wasn't doing it.
Yeah.
The doll. The
Pretty
doll was
flawless
trying
logic.
to kill people.
Well, and if you're holding it in front of yourself, that's sort of like using a hostage as a shield sort of a scenario too.
Here's the really funny thing. They still put it in handcuffs and took a mugshot. I love that they weren't taking any chances. They're like, I saw the fucking movie.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I bet somebody was like, that was a movie, right? And he's like, yeah,
Yeah.
Click.
That's
Made
why
it a little bit tighter.
That's why it's funny to just, if you see a Chucky doll toy, which I've seen a few, just take the doll out and just put it somewhere else, because somebody's going to see that empty box and be like, what the fuck? Where is he in this Fred Meyer?
All right. I think we just have 2 more.
Wonderful.
3 more. Scientists uncover 20,000-year-old Ice Age woolly rhino in Russia. My first thoughts, of course it's fucking Russia. Woolly rhino, I've never even heard of this. Russia is the Florida of Europe. There's always some weird fucking shit happening there. Also, was there just woolly everything, like bunch of hairy animals? Because this is starting to make me wonder about my evolution. Am I just a woolly person?
Does feel a little like God got lazy on that one. If he's just going to woolify everything, it's like,
was there a woolly naked mole rat?
Woolly naked, yeah.
Just a woolly.
Somebody's got to tell God about his logical inconsistencies here. No, it's like when you get to the 1,000th Pokemon and it's like, oh, it's just a magnet now, or like, you start to run out of ideas. All of a sudden, you got a woolly alligator.
How do you evolve a magnet? Several Amish men allegedly shunned after emergency alert test. That thing was fucking loud, for starters.
So they got, okay, let's cut through the fog on that headline, though. They didn't get shunned because of the test. They got shunned because they had a fucking burner phone that then told everybody, oh, Jebediah's packing a phone.
I love to think of Jebediah being like, I had it on vibrate. God damn it. All because you had to be on Instagram, Jebediah, you madman. All that to see some shoulders and wrists?
As though vibration was cool, you're still on the electric chain gang.
I've always told people vibration's just as likely to get you in trouble, man. You just got to turn that thing off if you're not using it. Prison rules. All right, last one. Study reveals that female frogs fake their death to avoid unwanted male attention. Come on, unwanted males. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
They got to fake their death?
Faking your death only slightly better than putting your headphones in and staring out the bus window as a way to get the unwanted male attention off. That ranks number 2.
I like to think of it from the perspective of the unwanted male who sees this woman or female frog he was going to pursue die. Then he sees her like next week and he's spooked.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, still believes it.
What? I saw you dead. That is a fucking zombie. Nobody.
Well, that's got to be more protective of the frog psyche than realizing, wow, she straight up pretended to be dead. They did not have to talk to me. That's definitely an ego killer right there.
All right, well, that was headlines. I don't know if we'll do it again, but I enjoyed it. So.
I like that a lot. Chris, these next couple things are just some money complaints. I don't even know if these will really go anywhere. You have too nice of a car. I had to get my brakes redone, and I found out a caliper was broken. That almost totaled my car. $1,100.
No
That's
way.
Almost
No way.
or no, $1,200. That is like half of my vehicle's trade-in value.
Oh shit. Well,
yeah.
I mean, You also have a record collection that's worth more than your
Okay,
car, right?
you know what? Let's not. What are you, a cop?
I think at this point you're like, how little can my car be worth before I get a different car?
It is definitely a bit of a gap.
Like that I'm kind of making
It
fun
is
of you for doing the right thing.
It is a bit of a bit. Well, you and Ashley, I mean, you guys have nice vehicles. I'm the only one. You know, my brother got a new car. I'm the only one that doesn't have a sunroof now. I don't even have power windows. I'm like multiple
To
evolutionary
be fair, my
jumps behind.
sunroof is such a sunroof. There's no real option. It either has a roof or it doesn't.
Right. Yeah, you're going soft top. Well, we got to remove it.
Yeah.
The other way in which I realized my priorities financially are fucked, record collection versus car value aside, is my water filter, the one that the humans drink out of at home, $25.
That still seems high.
The water filter that the cats drink out of, $100+ goddamn dollars.
No fucking chance.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
that
I
would
bought
total
this-
the cat for me. That's enough. Nope.
Yeah.
Okay, for starters,
Well,
y'all are good pet owners if you're filtering. Your moose gets tap water always,
Yeah.
no
That
matter what.
This is, trust me, the dogs are just getting.
Pampered.
No, the dogs are getting their shitty tap water. It's the cats with their demands and their running water, whatever, and me being a goddamn idiot. Yeah, that's absolutely.
I like that they have demands, and one of them is filtered water.
Yeah, which, crazy enough, they make a product for that. I'm glad they weren't like demanding things I can't supply. Like, give me a Jeep I can drive like street legally.
I will
Sorry,
now at
Winston.
midnight until I get my filtered water.
Or things that I simply won't do, like feed them 5 minutes earlier than the day before, every day, forever, in perpetuity.
I think we've talked about this before. If you do that enough times, you
get a
got
f-
a whole day off. You get a free day.
You get a free meal somewhere, like 10 years from now. You'll have finally
I
swindled
respect the
me out of
hustle,
one.
frankly.
Chris, do you like root beer?
I love root beer. I discovered. Did you ever have Dad's root beer?
Yeah. Yeah, we used to sell it at Ken's Market. Yeah.
That was a big
Blue bottle.
big-
You've got some at your house.
Yeah, big nostalgia thing for me. Well, they started selling it at Costco again. And so when I saw it, I immediately grabbed one, and then the handle broke, and it hit the ground, and all the bottles shattered. That's the only time that's ever happened
Jesus
to me.
Christ,
I would
all of
say-
them?
Well, enough for a box to be leaking in the middle of Costco, and me to be standing there holding it like, I don't know. I don't know what to do here.
Help! Costco's also like the hardest place to find like, not that it's poorly staffed, but like,
Bro,
it's a
I think
huge
she
place.
came out of the walls. This lady shows up with the mops like, I got it, you're fine. And I was just like, where did you even come from? I thought I was
You were on
alone in
candid
this,
camera, and they were like, "Oh, somebody's gonna pick up the stupid box."
But I always get a box of Dad's root beer now. I've always got root beer on hand. And I've started doing this bit where I act like root beer's real beer. And so, like, I'll come in and I'll crack one like... Been a long day. It's been a long. I also have
Where
this
you
character.
put like 50 grams of sugar into your.
I have this character. It's called Keith After Work, where it's just he's basically a Mormon guy, just kind of unhinged, and you know, crack a root beer and start saying things
Caffeine
like
free?
like crap and dang, and be like, oh, better start watching my language. I've had a couple too many of these. But
It's either Mormon with a soda or recovering alcoholic. That's got the odors.
who's to say it can't be both?
True.
We had these Mormon neighbors when I was a kid. Oh man, I don't know. I'm not going to say their names. I probably shouldn't be saying this, but they like to drink. But they were Mormon, so they
How many Hail Marys is that?
they couldn't put their recycling out, so they would put it in our recycling. And so my parents were like, "What the fuck? You're just making us look like crazy alcoholic."
Moose is drinking a lot of tequila.
Yeah. And so they finally like called him out on it, and then they just became really good friends. And then the Mormon's neighbor on the other side reported, I don't know how this whole system works, but reported it to the Mormon church because he was also drinking and putting his alcohol containers in their recycling.
At a certain point,
But then he went and reported them, so he didn't get in trouble. They did. And so they were, I don't know if it's excommunicated or how it works with the Mormon church, but they got fucked off from the Mormon church.
Well, that'll save them 10% of their income a year.
Right.
When I was a kid, I was on ASB in high school, and you'd have these retreat things, and it's always like one host family hosting like all these knucklehead kids. And the only way you can host all those kids is if you've got a fucking bunch of money.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, you know, because they're trying to like bring you in slowly, nobody's ever like, welcome to the house, we're Mormons. There's always just a slow deluge of clues that reveals the fact, other than the wealth, where you're like, all the soda's caffeine free. I have a huge movie collection and a nice TV, but nothing's rated R.
No coffee.
And then BYU signed football. Bam! There it is. I fucking knew there'd be a smoking gun.
Who
fucking
likes Steve Young this much?
Yeah. You're either left-handed or Mormon. Oh man. What we were talking about Halloween earlier. I love the you ever hear the Halloween myth of adults putting like razor blades in kids' candy?
That's not real.
Urban legend. Yeah. It's happened like twice. Like ever. But the idea that it's like anything that happens with regularity is not. And it was always like a family member. It was never a stranger.
Now that I'm thinking about it, it sounds impractical.
It's a lot to just...
Because nobody's just got razor blades around.
No. You could just fuck a kid up, too. You know, like, you don't know all this rigmarole.
We don't have to buy razor blades.
Yeah.
I mean, they could bite into that with their front teeth and be like, oh, that's metal. And
yeah, exactly. Yeah, they didn't even cut a gum yet.
But so either you've got... I mean, nobody's got razor blades laying around, right? So maybe you have like a razor for shaving. Can you imagine trying to take those out of there? You'd cut the fuck up out of your fingers.
Yeah.
I wouldn't take candy from anybody who's got bandages all over their hands.
Hey, kids. Jesus Christ.
Was this licorice red before?
A blood-covered apple. Also, the whole thing, like, presupposes that, okay, they're either bobbing for an apple with a razor in it, which, okay, I suppose. Or the kid's actually going to eat an apple they got handed to them from a fucking... No. They just went to my house and got a regular-sized Twix. There's no way.
The bobbing for apples is kind of funny. I heard that, or I was reading about Halloween, and one of the things was the costumes originally were like women dressing up to find suitors, which is funny because, I don't know, slutty nurse, kind of the same thing.
You're drawing a line there.
But now the bobbing for apples is a tradition because that was also a thing. Like, if you could get a whole apple, then it meant that you were going to find your husband soonest. Like, kind of like catching the bouquet at a wedding.
Yeah.
Kind of like that.
Except
you have to be wet underwater and eating an apple. Yeah, so I don't know. I thought that was kind of funny, but
yeah, that is. I mean, now I kind of want to bob for apples. I want to see if I still got it. You know,
I've never bobbed for apples. Why am I the one bobbing? I think the apples are bobbing.
True. I think we've misattributed the verb there. But then again, you're going up and down with the apple, so you know. You're all stuck in this together.
People open their eyes under there? Is that against the rules? What are the rules?
No, you can open your eyes. No, it's just...
You just can't use your hands. That's
you just have to be able to unhinge your jaw and sink your teeth. See, here's the thing. When they invented that game, there were not these big fucking, like, 2 fist-sized Honeycrisp apples floating around. Right. We're like, this thing is a meal. This apple's like a pound and a half. No, that game's gotten harder. Also, those are harder apples. Like, this ain't no Red Delicious. All right, enough on the apples, though. Gucci or Greasy, pretending you're not home on Halloween.
Katie and I got in an argument about this. I'm gonna say that it's Gucci. I know that it's Greasy.
So you're taking the approach I normally take.
But I feel like when I was single, I was like, it's too weird for me to be handing out Halloween candy. I don't know why. I was just like, it's weird. I'm going to put the thing outside. They can still have candy. I'm just not going to have any interaction. I'm not going to be involved.
Yeah. As long as the kids still get candy. I mean, I don't think it's too big of a deal.
When Katie and I started dating, I was like, well, we could both go to the door and do the whole thing.
Yeah.
And that felt a little bit different, right? That was kind of cute. But now I'm like, we got a dog, and I like don't want him fucking barking and shit. So it's like, just put the bowl out there so people don't ring the doorbell.
Yeah.
And
yeah, we have 2 dogs. I totally understand that.
Especially with having a baby, and she goes to bed at like 7:30.
Yeah, I think you have plenty of good reasons. I don't want to call it greasy, but I cannot do it. I have to open the door. But again, like, if there's a bowl of candy out there, my feelings of being a shithead, like, go away. Like, I gave it a shot. If some kid, I mean, we only have so many kids in our neighborhood, and they're usually, again, they're still pretty young. They're with their parents. Like, if some shithead kid takes the whole bowl, okay, I guess I...
It's so funny. This question was almost Gucci or Greasy taking more than one.
Greasy.
Right.
Greasy.
It was funny because I asked Katie, I ran it by Katie, and she was like, "Oh, those fucking people who just leave bowls out." Like, she started blaming on the people who are leaving the candy outside.
Well, okay,
That was so funny to me.
I'll say this: if you're a person doing that, it kind of, you can't necessarily get mad. But if you're the person on the other side, then it's greasy, right? Like, this is my generosity. I'm not an asshole for doing this. You're the one that's doing the wrong thing. I'm not the jerk.
I think whenever I have enough time to do it, I want to do a social experiment of, like, hiding in, like, a scarecrow costume on the porch, right? And putting the take one thing out and just watching somebody take more than one and fucking
Just losing it.
Shit out
Yeah.
of them.
Yeah. No, that's funny. I do like that idea. But yeah, it's greasy. That's one of those, people need to demonstrate the ability to govern themselves.
So I would
return your shopping cart.
I would take the proper amount. Right. God, take your fucking shopping cart. Take your shopping cart back. Eat pumpkin pie.
And take one candy if the sign says so.
I would pick the best one.
For sure.
I'm going to cherry pick what's
Yeah,
best.
you don't have to be a complete blind nerd. I mean, a lot of the time, if somebody answers the door, kids, they let them choose anyway. And Ashley and I answer the door. It's like, yeah, what? I mean, there's like 5 things, but yeah, choose one.
Usually by the time I get there, it's all almond joys anyway. But
we got the late.
I hated it when you would get somebody who wouldn't let you pick what one you wanted. They would put it in your bag for you. Like, wouldn't let you look. They would just kind of... Did you ever have that?
Yeah, lots of people do that. I always view that as like a weird trust thing,
It
too.
is weird.
Where it's like, you don't think I'm only going to take one.
Yeah.
How dare you?
Who cares? You got a whole bucket.
All right, Chris, let's move on to our Wikipedia-related stuff here. We were down to our last 10 minutes, so before This Week in History, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the gin craze. This will just be our general Wikipedia.
Love gin. Crazy about it, I'd say.
Hey, there we go. Then have I got the topic for you, buddy? So in the 18th century, gin became a whole heck of a lot cheaper in England. And in addition to that, in like 1690, they had gotten rid of some of the rules as far as like restrictions on who could produce it. There was like a gin monopoly before that. They threw that out the window.
Do they have most of like the botanicals and stuff to make gin in the UK, or where does that come from?
Yeah, I think they do.
Okay.
I actually didn't look into that part specifically, but I assume the juniper and everything that was super conventional they had available.
Okay.
But then the production just got really cheap over the course of like a couple of decades.
Assembly line.
That's
Thanks, Henry Ford.
a little early, but let's go with it. But then there were also some other rules like regarding breweries that were different. Like you had to offer food. We still have the same rule today.
Yeah, it's a good rule.
But you also, I think, had to, at that point, offer lodging, like a place to stay, in theory. But gin manufacturers didn't have to do that. So it got really cheap and it had fewer rules. And then in addition to those things, they made it so that you had to pay like 10 grand a year. So it started getting bad. People started getting real fucked up. They introduced a law in like 1734 to basically make it so that you had to pay the modern equivalent of $8,000. It was like $100 at the time, and that was meant to just make it so cost prohibitive you didn't do it. So then everybody just made gin illegally. So it just got way more. It got way more out of control.
Prohibition.
Yeah,
Love it.
Exactly. So over the course of like 24 years, there were 5 different gin acts passed, all of them distinct. And the funny thing is the first 2 were passed like 7 years apart. The last couple were passed only 4 years apart, which implies things were getting even more real. Like we are not staunching the bleeding where it is. But the reason I wanted to bring this up, there's a lot of preamble, but it had sort of crippled the country. Like people were so fucked up all the time. Like, that's the reason they were creating laws, because people just getting drunk at home and still
That's
carrying
the reason why
on.
they're not in control of the entire world anymore.
Exactly. Yeah, how they created half the world's problems and now don't control it anymore. Gin, baby, gin. But I think it's very funny that it was so bad. That means like stuff is not happening. Like factories aren't opening up. Like there are restaurants not being open. Like all this stuff. And they were like, we got to create another law. We already did two. Do another. Do another. This is a non-option.
Do we make more laws or get rid of them all? I don't know what to do. It reminds me of have I talked about prohibition in Green Bay on the podcast before?
I think you mentioned it, but I don't know if you talked about it at length.
Basically,
nice little halfway point between like Milwaukee and Canada.
The Packers were so fucking good during Prohibition. So good. Nobody could figure it out. They're like, why the fuck did Cal Hubbard go to Green Bay? Like, what is happening? And then they realized there's a really big mob presence there. Al Capone had a house near Green Bay. Actually.
Yeah, you're not too far from Chicago.
And, right, you're not too far from Chicago, but you're far enough from Milwaukee that as soon as the feds call and say they're leaving, the people in the phone, what do they call them, the phone thing back then? What was it?
Well, like a telegram or?
No. You remember you used to have an operator. The phone operators
yeah.
would call Green Bay and be like, hey, they're coming up.
Yeah.
You guys should hide everything.
Yeah.
And so everything would be hidden by the time they got, it's an hour and a half. Everything was hidden by the time the feds
back
got
then
there
it was
from
probably like
Milwaukee.
closer to 2 hours.
Like, what do you mean? We're totally fucking sober if you can find it.
Yeah, exactly.
And so all the players wanted to go to Green Bay because they could get fucking hammered whenever they wanted to and party. Paul Horning would have loved it.
Yep.
And, one time when I was in Green Bay, I went to this really, really old bar. And they were joking about having a room to stay. You were talking about how it used to be a law you had to offer lodging.
Yep.
It was literally their janitor's closet now, but that's how often, because it was the janitor's closet before then as well.
Yeah.
They're like, we have to offer something, so they would offer people to stay. They would offer the one room. You could stay in the janitor's closet if you really needed to.
Yeah.
And I asked if anybody had ever taken them up on it. They said maybe back then, but it hasn't happened now.
It's like the $20 Marie calendars behind the bar, just so the bar can say they served food.
Yeah.
Who's taking you up on that?
You guys have a lot of Tim's potato chips.
Okay, Chris, we're going to do a little This Week in History and get out of here. September 30th, 1939. First football game is televised by NBC. Could you survive with only 3 channels?
Oh, God. How many of them have sports or boobs?
No boobs for sure. Sports, I'd say 1 out of the 3.
See, that's one thing I think the French have right. Don't they have nudity on TV over
I think Europe in general. Less violence, which makes sense, and more nudity.
more boobs.
Which makes
Come
sense.
on! That's all I want. I don't care about the violence. I don't need it. Show me boobs. No, just more butthole would be good. But, no, I absolutely could not.
Yeah.
I kind of only watch 3 channels, if I'm being honest. NHL Network, NFL Network, MLB Network, NBA TV. So 4. No,
okay.
I couldn't.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
couldn't.
Yes. There's the answer. We figured it out. No, I could not either. Especially because I like, fights and tennis. And I mean, in 1939, they'd play more fights on TV, but still, it's like today with 3 channels, they ain't putting my shit on TV. I'm fucked.
I can't even imagine what was on TV back then. Other than I Love Lucy, what was on TV? And that's still happening, by the way.
Oh,
Always
it's still
on TV somewhere.
Yeah. You can either find it on like Nick at Night or one of those. All right, September 30th, 1947. Few fun facts about this one. First World Series to be televised. First to include an African American player. First to exceed 2 million in receipts. First one to have a pinch hit home run, and first one to have 6 umpires on the field. So very historic. But one
of them was Joe West.
That's
Who was the first African American player to play? Was it Jackie Robinson?
It was Jackie Robinson, and I think he got into. So he broke the color barrier in '47, and the Dodgers got to the series. Wow. So it was right away. But because it was a big deal financially, wanted to ask, what's the most you paid to see an event? Sports or concert. Doesn't have to be sports.
Fuck. I paid $580 a ticket to see the Packers in the NFC Championship game here. And this, I didn't even have a real seat. They put bleachers on the very top level, like right where they have the 12th man thing, where it's just like a concrete platform.
Oh, shit.
They just put bleachers up there, and our seats were in the bleachers. And not only that, they were at the back of the fucking bleachers. So I had the worst not real seat in the fucking house for $580 together. Because I bought both tickets for me and person who went with me. And yeah, at the end of the day, it was like $1,300 in total or something. It was fucking.
You've got me beat. It's funny though, because both of my most expensive things were absolutely nosebleeds too. I went to the Crawford Spence boxing match recently because I just kept watching and ticket prices kept falling, and I was there for my brother's birthday. Like, all right, I'm going. Other one, and I was deep. I was dead on aligned with the ring, but I was deep. And then the other one was Elton John. We took my mom for her birthday. Yeah. And it's like, I think in both cases I paid just over like $350, and I was very far away.
Elton John, when they were on tour together, I still think it might be the best concert I've ever seen. They're both fucking great.
That's fucking, yeah. Well, we've talked about it before. We'll talk more after the show for sure, because that is a rad fucking show. All right, Chris, couple more and then we'll get out of here. September 30th, 2016, 2 paintings with a combined value of $100 million are recovered after having been stolen from the Van Gogh Museum in 2002. Is there a less practical thing to steal than fine art?
Say, who's stealing fine art? Well, you can't even do anything with that, because all you want to do when you have something that valuable is show it to people, and you fucking can't.
Yeah,
because then you're toast.
I like how you're immediately doing the same thing I would be doing, which is like, gotta show it off. Gotta show it. I got a fucking Van Gogh, dude. Are you out of your mind?
It's kind of like getting really cool Nikes. Like, I gotta show somebody. This isn't only for me.
I can't wear these ever.
Dude, how many times have I gotten a cool autograph and not sent you a picture of it? You know what I mean? If I stole a Van Gogh, I'd be like, go!
Yeah, exactly. That's going to be on the news tomorrow. Well, and also, okay, so you're either going to show it off, which you have the right idea. That's the thing you should actually do. Or you're just going to sell it like a nerd. But who?
Somebody's going to be like, I need to authenticate this. And I'm going to be like, oh, this is stolen.
You need to sell it to somebody else who also doesn't want to show it off.
What are you going to sell it back to the Louvre?
Okay, I think
that's called a ransom.
Decided answer no. I've read about it too. Like, okay, so let's say you stole $100 million painting. Like, what do you do? And it's like, well, you can only attain like 5 to 10% street value, and it would be in like a big drug deal. Right. Where you like hand over the painting. Like, what the fuck deal is this?
I like to think when they got Bin Laden, they walked into his house like, God damn it. That's where the fuck this was? Somebody call France. Get Paris on the line.
Rembrandt's only seascape. Son of a bitch. All right.
Rembrandt's only seascape.
The only other thing I have here is October 1st, 1975. Ali beats Frazier in the greatest fight ever. I don't even have anything to discuss there. Just everybody should go home and watch it.
It's pretty cool, guys fighting.
It's the best, certainly the best heavyweight match ever. But
what do you think? What do you think they're so mad about?
Let's wrap it up on that one.
That was stupid.
Oh, it was
all
brilliant.
right. Well, thank you guys for listening. I don't really have anything else to say other than thank you for continuing to listen. And it's been fun. I went to a party randomly. We went to Katie's sister's house for a party, and there's a couple people there who listen to the podcast, but I didn't know that until they made references from the show, and I was like, I feel like I talked about this recently.
Hunting a quesarito.
Yeah.
The fuck?
So, anyway, yeah, I really appreciate it. And, yeah, if you are a listener and I bump into you, definitely let me know, because I love talking to you guys. We're going to have to come up with a word for what we call people who listen to the sleepers, SLP.
Dame time.
Dame time. Dame time. Fucking Bucks and 6. Let's close on that. Bucks and 6.
Bucks and 6.